That's so comforting. Won't choose, you want me. Take my hand and know me better. I know you love me. That's so comforting. Won't choose, you want me. Take my hand and know me better. I know you love me. That's so comforting. But we are stuck to accept you. Take my hand and know me better. Hey, know me better, love me better. Hey, take me better, love me better.
It's the transformation of parenting show with Mute Olori.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the program Transformation of Parenting. My name is Mute Olori, your parenting coach. Today on the program we're going to be looking at connection. How important is connection? When you hear the word connection, what does it mean? How do we connect? A lot of people have said that without connection you cannot correct a child. That without connection, you can't be a part of the life of your child. And apart from parenting, even when you have to commune with people around you, there's a level of connection that is needed for you to be able to interpret and communicate with whoever you are talking with. But on the show today, our focus is on our children. How do we connect with our children? What are the areas that we need to connect? What are the levels of connection? These are more we're going to be talking about on the program. Because in my years of mentoring and coaching, I've heard a lot of parents having to say, my children can't understand me. And trust me, the children say the same thing about you. They don't understand you. You say one thing today, you're doing something else. They don't know how to put together your action and your words. So how do we connect with our children? That is what we're going to be talking about on the show today. When I come back from this break, you will be meeting my guests. Once again, welcome on the show. All right, welcome. It's the Transformational Parenting Show, and my name is Mute Olori. If you're just joining us, we're looking at connection, communicating today with our children. How do you connect to correct your child? How do you connect to communicate effectively with your child? And what are the levels of communication and connection that we need to be able to raise a wholesome child? My guest today, she is a telecommunication specialist with over 22 years of experience in the career of banking and telecom and human capacity management. She is a child advocate and a community organizer with undeniable passion for children. She's been mentoring and coaching children through her children and teens ministry for over years, looking at both their physical and spiritual life. She's a staunch advocate for the rights of children and young people because they play a vital role in the emancipation of our society, and she's also involved in rehabilitation of abused children. My guest is no other person than Victoria Ibeji.
Thank you, Mute.
Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
How important is connection in our parenting?
I will say that the basis of every problem a parent has with a child is because there is no connection. So that tells you connection, I would say, is the most important thing every parent should seek to have with their children. I'll give an example. When a woman has a baby, after a couple of months, she's able to understand the various crying. If the child is hungry, there's a certain cry the child will cry. If the child is wet or needs to be cleaned, there's another cry the child would cry. And if a child wants to sleep, there's also another cry the child would cry. And so you find that mothers who have taken over the months, connected with their babies, they say, no, this is hunger. Or no, this cry is, she wants to sleep.
Or this one,
Or
I
this
can't
one,
understand
maybe
this
the nappy
particular-
is wet, let me
yes.
check the nappy. So you see, connection is something that builds over time. It's not like it's something you switch off and on, but it's something you seek to build. And I believe it's the most important thing for a parent to have with their child.
You know, saying this, I just take my mind back to, if not months, in fact, when a child is hungry, no matter where the mother is, you find this instinct just coming up and the breast is swollen,
Exactly.
milk is produced immediately, there's
Exactly.
a sensation that goes through the mother, and you just say, look, I think my child is crying.
Even if she's in
or
the
my
market.
child is hungry.
Definitely.
And you want to start running back to, why is it that we do not pay attention to these things after those few years that they are toddlers?
Yeah, I think that is an error we make as parents. You know, when our kids are babies, we kiss them, we hug them. You know, we want to play with them. Then as they begin to get older, we reduce that interaction. Or we feel they're getting bigger, they don't need to be hugged. And that's a great error. No matter how old we are, I believe even you, Mutse, you love being hugged.
Oh, yeah.
No matter how old we are, we love to be hugged. We love to feel comforted. We love to feel warmth. We love to feel that somebody cares about us. It doesn't change. But at times, because we feel, okay, they're no longer babies, they're a bit more independent, so we feel they can, you know, if I play too much with them, I might be spoiling them. You know, it's that African thinking, which is really not true. No matter the stage of a child, even if the child tells you, it's okay, don't hug me, it doesn't mean it. We must learn to connect. And one of the ways, of course, is with touch. And of course, other ways, which we'll be talking about.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's a big error on our parts, if you're watching, for you to say, oh, this child is grown, he doesn't need it anymore. And I also observe that attitude with us and our spouse. Because there are times we also say to our spouse, oh, they don't need it, they don't want it. But then, how do you understand the way to connect with your child? Because I've seen people say, oh, my own way of connection, like you said, is a touch. You know, so what are the various ways we can connect? If our children don't want us to hug, if they don't want us to kiss, how else can we connect with our children?
Okay, so the first thing is to seek to understand them. And the truth of the matter is, for you to be able to do it properly, you need to want to do it.
Oh, yeah.
You need to be intentional about it.
It has to be like a lifestyle.
You need to desire to do it.
Wow.
Don't think, oh, I've paid their school fees, I've given them food, I've taken care of their needs, I've done my part as a parent. No. You need to seek to connect with them emotionally. So first of all, you just have to be interested. It's not going to jump on you if you're not interested. If you feel you've done your part, oh, I've done my best. I mean, my parents didn't even do up to this for me, so I've tried. But so it takes you going an extra mile. At times, of course, we know kids, by the time they're entering their preteens and their teenage years, they can get a bit tricky. But we must continually seek to connect. And one of the first things is you must be interested. You must
So
be
that
interested.
it doesn't look fake, because once these teenagers, they're
Oh,
very intriguing.
they are too
Once
smart.
they know that this thing is fake or you're faking it,
Definitely.
they'll make life really unbearable
Oh, they know.
for you.
When you say, how are you? Fine. And then you go on. Just
Well-
like you said, between a husband and a wife, how are you? Fine.
And
Are
you-
you really fine?
And then the next one is nothing.
Oh, nothing. What's wrong? Nothing. And you think nothing means nothing? It's the same with the kids. So don't just, don't allow them give you, don't ask questions that will give you a one or two answers. Always ask open-ended questions that will get them to talk.
Okay, so let's go back to, first of all, now, number one is you must desire
You must desire
to want to connect
to
with
want to
them.
connect with them. And they will know that you really mean it. Because they get to a time when they are teenagers, they are kind of lost. They want to be adults. They don't want to be children, but they are still children. So they're like wandering, you know, between two ends. At that time, they might be obnoxious at times with their attitude. At times, they read you even more than you think they do. You know, so you need to want to break that barrier, and you must show that you're really interested
And sincere.
in them. You must be, of course, you can't bullshit them. They will know So you must show that I want to know you. I want to know why you are like this. I want to know why you feel this way. I want to know what is ticking inside of you. I desire to know you. You're my child. I love you. I want to put myself in your shoes. I want to know why do you feel this way. We need to learn to listen to them. And listening is not just listening with the ears, but listening with our hearts to what is not being said. So.
Okay. A lot of work. So parenting doesn't end when they go to school.
Nah.
It's a continuous one.
Yes,
Okay, let's look at the various ways to connect.
Okay.
I hear you mention something about emotional and other ways of connection. So let's break it down.
Okay.
I'm watching you now. I'm listening,
Okay.
and I have made up my mind to want to. What are the levels and the ways I can connect?
Okay, so the first thing is to listen to them. You need to be able to listen to them. And in listening, like I said earlier, what is being said and what is not being said. 2, you need to want to, desire to spend time with them. Somebody said, I can't remember who, that children see love as time spent more than the gifts you buy for them. So you need to, at times, we're in the crazy world. Screen time, TV is there, your phone is there, your computer is there. At times you have to give, all those things are very necessary, but you need to put it down. And say, see, this is me and you, let's talk. Some parents do it when they're taking their kids to school. They use that period to talk with them when they're doing school runs. What's happening in your class? What's going on with this person? You know, gist with them, laugh with them. Find a common ground that will make them talk.
Focus on them and not focus on the traffic.
Exactly.
Because it can be mad. I'll take the short break. I'll be right back.
All right.
Now, that is an interesting one, because there are times that, honestly, we focus on the traffic than focusing on the children. And you really want to get somewhere. So that is one way. What other ways can we use in connecting and listening, like you said?
Like I said, connecting is not a one-off thing, it's a continual thing. And one of the things you must learn to avoid is to be judgmental.
Why listening?
Yeah, because if you're judgmental, or you can't seem to hide, in case they're telling you things about their school and you can't seem to hide the expression of maybe worry or anxiety, they're going to temper what they tell you, or they're going to like just shut the flow and tell you the things you want to hear. So one of the things is to be as open as possible, not be judgmental. Trust that your kids also have a sense of judgment. They know what is right or what is not right. But it's not at that time they're telling you. You just spend that time listening. Even when if you're not sure what they're saying, ask more questions so that they open up more to you and tell you, okay, this is that. And then there's a way you will keep talking to them. They themselves will get to the point that you want them to get to, without necessarily you preaching it at them or lecturing them or forcing it to them. So one of the things you try as much as possible not to be judgmental. Because if you do, you will lose a lot of ground. It will be hard for you to gain it back, because they know.
Being judgmental right now is not being vocally judging, but even the expression of fear and anxiety could be a trigger for them to shut up.
Definitely. They read you. That's why we also must read them. Children read us like books. They know us. It's not just what we say. More than what we say is what we do, is how we react or react to things around, is how we approach issues. They read all that about us. So knowing that you are at that point, you're in a teaching moment. You're seeking to connect. Like I said, you must want to do it. And you want to know, I want this child to be my child. I want this child to be close to me by every means. I want to be able to understand why she does what she does, or why he does what he does. So at that point, you put aside your judgment, and you are open, and you are curious, and you are interested, and you are friendly. And that helps them to keep on talking to you.
So these are physical form of connecting with our children.
Yes, they're physical.
Okay, so I'm sure that we have other form. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about emotional connection.
Okay.
How do you emotionally connect with your child?
All right. So, emotionally connecting with your child will mean a kind of doing things together with them. You need to see something, and you want to find out what is going on there, right? So maybe you want us to pray together about something, or do you want us to go for a movie, do something together? But that way, you must seek to connect with them. You understand? So when their emotions are all over the place, as is wont with teenagers, are they angry? Are they sad? Are they happy? Are they anxious? Why are they feeling that way? You still have to talk, and you still must listen. So you talk, you're not lecturing, please. You're not preaching, you're talking, or you're asking questions.
You
And
know,
then-
during that prayer time,
You
I know
know.
some parents, they turn you to the scriptures in the
The
Bible.
prayer points.
Yeah, you know, and then indirectly, let us pray that the things will be better. You know, all this attitude that we are putting up in this house, like these children that will do this and they will not study their book and they expect to pass. So let's pray that God will give us success. But as we are praying for the success, David did this thing the other day, I remember. So you turn the prayer point to your children.
Yeah.
So that way you really disconnect, because, you know, I'm bringing my issues down because I have problems, and I think my parents should be able to support me or assist me. But here they are turning my struggles to a prayer point in a negative way, and it causes some form of disconnection. All right, we'll take a short break. When I come back from this break, we're going to be looking at the effect of this disconnection, because I know you mentor a lot of young people, and they must have shared with you the struggles and what they're going through, simply because they don't have this connection with the parents.
Yeah.
I know a lot of children who yearn to want to have the attention of their parents. So they're struggling. When we come back, we'll do an expose of such things so that you can understand the gravity of your lack of connection on your child. Don't go away, I'll be right back. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, you may and must have missed quite a lot, but welcome. This is the Transformational Parenting Show, and my name is Muti Olori, your parenting coach, and my guest, Victoria Ibeji, is also an advocate for children, for youths, especially the vulnerable and abused in our society. She's been working with children for over 2 decades. And she's talking with us today about the importance of connection in our parenting. Now we talked about connection in the ways of physical connection, emotional connection. Emotional connection is doing things together, being in the life of your child. And even when you're not there, those memories will linger on and, you know, have some form of impact on the child when he's not at home. And we also talked about physical connection. How do you connect? By listening, you said, and not being judgmental. What is the effect of this, of non-connection, let me put it that way, in the life of a teenager? I'm not talking about the parent now, I'm talking about that child who needs to connect and not being able to connect because of lack of the things we talked about. How grievous is it?
Honestly, Mutse, I believe it's really, really grievous. The first thing that does is loneliness. That child feels alone. And it's actually worse for them because they are dependent on you. They're not, as an adult, if you are lonely, you are independent, you can decide to go and do something to take away your loneliness. But for them, they are still dependent on you, but they are lonely. And it's that loneliness that pushes them into things that you talk about, peer pressure. What's at the bottom of peer pressure is loneliness. Today we have so many kids, we've been hearing of teenagers committing suicide. Go and check it. They felt alone. They felt nobody was really listening to them. They felt nobody could really understand them, no matter how weird it might have seemed or they might have become, but nobody could understand them. One of the greatest things that your lack of connection will cause is loneliness for your child. Where the child should have come to you to cry on your laps or cry on your shoulder or pour out their hearts, they can't. Because there is a certain way we must approach. Oh, I must get my straight A's, or I must have this is what my parents are looking for. I must do very well in my academics. I must, after I finish secondary school, I must gain admission. I must do this. So you have, you have set
a template that the child must follow.
And the child wants to please. That's the honest truth. Most kids want to please their parents. Forget that they might act up. They actually don't want to hurt their parents. So a lot of them want to do that, but they are facing so many things along the way. But you do not know. You're not connecting. You don't understand. They might be bullied in school. They might be facing, somebody might be laughing at them. They might feel, just the time my daughter, when she was still in secondary school, told me in the hostel, they measure their ties to know who is fatter than who. Measure your ties. So if your ties are not slim enough, you're a rubber or something. And I'm like, oh, it's not just waist anymore. You're measuring ties. But little things like to you, like, what's the big deal in all these things?
Exactly, but it's a big deal to them.
So much to them. That's why I said earlier, connecting is putting yourself in their shoes. When your child acts up, your child is not a mad person. They don't act up because they just feel like acting up. They're acting up because at that point they're frustrated. They don't know what to do. They are disconcerted. They don't know what to do. So they react. You see, either they cry, or they're angry, or they throw a tantrum or whatever. We need to understand them. And one of the things that lack of connection does is loneliness. Loneliness leads to a lot of things. Another thing it does is lack of self-esteem. Your child will lack self-esteem. Why do we have young girls today following older men? They're all looking for a father figure they never had. And so they seek this warmth and this acceptance in the wrong places. So you have a lot of kids doing drugs, the lack of self-esteem, the loneliness, seeking to belong, seeking to, to be seen as I have arrived. Everybody needs that affirmation. If you don't give it to your child, who's going to do it?
Now, do we need to be in a particular status in society? Do we need to have money? Do we need to have affluence for us to be able to be in that position to give our children the confidence, the self-esteem, and the things that they need, to build, to boost themselves and come out of loneliness?
It has nothing to do with your affluence. It has nothing to do with your wealth. It has nothing to do with what you own or who you are. It's just about being you. See, kids understand. They're not expecting more than what you can give. Don't think you need to be a certain way to be able to give them. Even the little you think you have is sufficient for them if you know how to connect with them. So they understand that this is what my mom has, or this is what my dad has, this is his level. But yet, even with that, he's able to show me that he loves me. I am important to him. I am important to my mom. I am not an irritant. I'm not a troublemaker. I am important to them. So it doesn't have anything to do with your wealth, your affluence, or whatever you can give. Like I told you earlier, kids measure love by the time you spend, not by the gifts you buy for them. Yes, they'll collect your money. They'll collect your gifts. But it's more about how you seek to spend
I want your
time
presence.
Your presence.
Not your present.
Exactly. Your presence and not your present. So, and what does that give them? It gives them self-esteem. It makes them feel important. It gives them, it gives them confidence. Even when you are not there, that confidence carries them through life. Because you have been able to instill it in them. Somebody comes to a young girl and begins to toast her, like I don't know whether they use toast anymore, these are spin. And she says, my dad has told me that already.
Yeah.
I don't need to hear it from
Yeah.
you. Because there's a confidence.
Yeah.
She's not seeking for somebody to tell her you've
You're
already been told you're
beautiful.
beautiful.
Yeah.
You don't need a stranger to tell you, because before you begin to feel you're beautiful, pray with them. Spend time praying together. Not the morning prayer, you use them as your prayer points. No, sincere, holding hands.
Yeah.
Quietly pray with them. You want them to wash plates together with them. Spend every time to develop a bond. Go on outings together. A lot of parents do that already, that's fine. But it's not just outing, not just to go and watch a movie where you're not talking to yourself. What we're talking about is more connection. More connection. By every means possible.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Victoria, for being my guest today.
Thank you, Muti.
Sincerity is the key word.
Yeah.
Wanting to do and wanting to be. So do you desire to connect with your child? You can start from where you are. It's never too late. I'll see you again next week. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms. And if you need to speak to someone, call me. I'll be right there. See you again next week. Bye-bye.
I know you love me, that's so comforting. Won't choose you want me, take my hand and know me better. I know you love me, that's so comforting. Won't choose you want me, take my hand.